So about a year ago, full disclosure, Jack and I are pretty good friends. And about a year ago, he has this idea. I'm going to do a TED Talk at school. Jack, you're a crazy person. It's not the first crazy thing he said to me. It won't be the last. So Jack, you're crazy. Like, that's so ambitious, right? He said, I'm going to do it. Okay. And then he gets really crazy. He's like, you should speak at it. Okay, I guess. I love TED Talks. I think they're fantastic. If you go on to TED's website and watch some of them, they're really great. The last one we watched is my personal favorite TED Talk. I think it's so terrific, right? So this idea that they have this concept of ideas worth spreading, right? It's so big. So I'm thinking to myself, what ideas do I have that are worth spreading? Okay, so let me give you a little history about myself. I was born and raised in California, but I don't know how to surf, so I can't spread that idea. Okay, I was in the military. Any ideas we're spreading there were issued to me, right? And I don't think those are property of the government. I don't think I'm allowed to give those out. Then I moved to Asheville, started going to school. There were plenty of great ideas we're spreading here, but the other speakers took them all, right? So here I am. Well, I was resigned to the fact. I said, well, I guess I won't talk, because I don't have anything to talk about. And then it just falls in your lap, as things often do. I'm student teaching at a high school right now, math, everyone's favorite, right? Okay. And something I did in high school that I really loved was improvisational theater, right? Whose line is it anyways kind of stuff, getting up there, doing games and things like that. So when I get to my school, I go talk to the drama teacher. So do you have a club that does this? He was like, no, but I've really been trying to start one. It's like, I'm your man, let's do this, right? So I'm explaining the basics of improv theater to my kids, and they're having a really hard time, right? So the basics of improv theater, let me fill you in. Every scene has a basic structure, and that structure looks a little something like you build a platform, the who, the what, the why, the where, the when, right? So that the audience knows what's going on in the scene. Because if you've ever seen an improv stage, it looks a whole lot like this. There's not much. So you build your platform. Then something happens in the scene that tilts the platform, right? There's something that goes wrong that the characters in the scene need to fix. And then at the end of the scene, well, at the end of the good scenes, there's a resolution. That tilt is fixed, right? So my students were having a really hard time figuring out that the tilt doesn't have to be some catastrophic event, right? They were getting the platform idea, the resolution was kind of shaky, but the tilt was really giving them problems, right? They'd be up there and they'd have the platform, they'd be like, oh, hello, Joe, my neighbor. It's a beautiful day here at the grocery store. Oh, got a comment, right? Like, it's like, no, it doesn't have to be, like, it doesn't have to be this giant, like, earth-shattering event, right? So I explained to them that every day in our lives, we face hundreds and thousands of little tilts that we have to resolve. I thought, wait a second, that's an idea worth spreading, right? So the idea of this talk is that if we can establish our platforms, understand where we are in our lives, right, we can recognize our tilts, that it will be that much easier to resolve them, right? Every day we're living 100 little scenes. So I'm going to tell a couple stories. They're about half true. Some are a little exaggerated. But I assure you, you won't be able to tell which half is made up and which half isn't, so don't even try, okay? So on my 26th birthday, I got a time machine, okay? Not like a cheap time machine, but like a really nice one. I got to choose the location. I got to choose the time. I was invisible if I wanted to. It came with a can of dinosaur repellent, so that was cool, right? So I got this time machine, really cool. So I decided, where is the first place I need to go? Anybody with a time machine, first place you're going to go, ancient Rome, right? Of course. So go to ancient Rome. I meet the royal family because I'm the guy with the time machine, right? Okay. So I go, and I meet the royal family, and there's one little boy, right? And he is sick, very sick. After he finally recovers, he's lost half his hearing, and he walks with a limp, okay? The royal family decides that this is not okay, right? This pure royal blood. So they send him off. They said, get out of here. You're done. We kicked you out of the family, right? And that was that. So I thought that was kind of depressing. I watched it. I pleaded with them. but they couldn't hear me because I had an invisible thing going on. And so it was like a Christmas carol. Like, I'm like, no, don't do it. He's like Tiny Tim of Rome, right? And so I was like, this is so depressing. So I left, and I came back to the current day, right? That's a big problem that he's got. That's a big problem. But we don't have to start with big problems. We can talk about little problems, too. This morning I woke up, and the only thing I wanted to do was find my blue shirt. This shirt, let me tell you, okay. Anybody who knows me, and a couple of you know me, I love clothes, right? Like, unhealthy amount, okay? So there's this blue shirt. It's got like these really subtle stripes in it. It makes me look so good, right? I love this shirt. And I could not find it. And for 5 minutes, that was my entire world. Where is this shirt, right? I woke up my roommate. Hey, where's my blue shirt? It's right there. No, not that blue shirt, the other blue shirt. It's right there. God, like 6 blue shirts, right? So this went on and on and on. Finally, I get to the last blue shirt. The blue shirt, the one that, it's like, where did you leave it? Well, if I knew where I left it, then I'd have it, wouldn't I? It was a whole mess. And then at the end of it, I thought to myself, how can I fix this situation? I guess I can just go grab a different shirt, So realizing that in that situation, my platform there is I'm in this room, and all I need to do is get dressed. That's my platform. That's my scene. Then my tilt is I can't find the shirt I want. Well, the resolution is that I look great in yellow, okay? That's fine, right? So that problem is, you're laughing because it's funny and not because it's untrue. So that resolution, realizing that I've got other shirts that no one's gonna know that I was gonna look better in a different shirt, and then I told everyone, so now you know, but whatever. So it's the little things that you can fix. So I was in my class teaching my students, and we're talking about exponential growth, right? No cheers for that one? Okay, fine. So we're using the movie Pay It Forward, right? There's one kid, he helps 3 people. He tells those 3 people to help 3 people. They tell those 3 people to help 3 people, right? So it starts at 1. In the second stage, there are 3. In the third stage, there are 9. All right. In the fourth stage, 27, et cetera, right? So the equation for this, y equals 3 to the x, right? Okay. Well, I was talking to one of my students who was having a really hard time, right? So I have a student. He's sitting at his desk, right? And when you're sitting at your desk and you have a question for the teacher, what do you do? Yeah, that's what you used to do, right? Here's what students do now. Right? So I see him over there, I'm like, okay, this is I just really want to go home right now. So in this interaction between he and I, there are so many little tilts and resolutions, right? So I'll let you know where the tilts were, okay? Yo, Mr. Beardface, true story, right? Tilt, okay? Excuse me? Resolution, sorry, Mr. Silva. Okay, right? So that's 1 down, right? Like all day, we just throw these things aside. So, resolution. So he's sitting there. I have been working on this problem forever. And I don't know how to do it, right? Tilt, okay? Guys, I'm like not a super nice teacher, but I don't make my kids work on problems forever, okay? So maybe a little exaggeration, but that tells you, that really expresses that in this moment, that is his world. That problem in that classroom, in that school, in that city is his entire world. I've been working on this for the eternity, like for all of time, forever, right? That's a pretty bold statement. I've been working on this forever, okay? I've been alive for 13 years, and I've been working on this problem since day 1, right? He popped out of the womb, and the doctor was like, first, exponential growth, second, crawl, like. So he's sitting there. I've been working on this problem forever, right? So that's his tilt. It really is his whole world, right? So he says, every time it multiplies by 3. So the equation has to be y equals 3x. Well, no, that's a linear equation, right? And we worked through it. It took a little time. It took a little coaching. But we worked through it. And that was the resolution, right? And he realized that that problem, as big as it seemed, right? It seemed like it was impossible to overcome that problem. But he realized that everything, it just takes a little help, right? So he figured out a solution. He figured out the resolution. Oh, well, that guy knows. Mr. Beardface, he knows, right? I'll bring him over here. He'll tell me, right? And that's what happened. So you have to be aware of your situation. You have to be able to pinpoint your tilts. And no matter how small the problem, you have to be able to look to yourself for resolution. If he didn't ask for help by huffing and puffing and sighing over here, I never would have known they didn't know until the test came, and then it's too late, right? So you have to be the person who starts these resolutions. It has to be you. So that was all said and done, and I decided, you know what? Maybe, just maybe, there are other stories that have happy endings, right? So I hop back in my time machine, true story. And I head back to Rome, right? Well, it turns out, now this is a true story, right? So it turns out that little boy, his entire family was murdered, right? So the entire royal family, dead. And he became emperor because when the people came through and took out the royal family, they were like, oh, Gimpy kid, who's not even in the family anymore? Oh, he's the emperor now. Emperor Claudius, look it up, it's a real thing, right? Now, towards the end of the story, it gets a little sad. And he was killed by his nephew / stepson, Emperor Nero, but we like to forget about that part. So, as small or as large as your problems are, there are solutions. There are solutions, okay? And when they don't seem like there are solutions, think about the context of your situation. Think about how big your world is in that moment, and know that there's always going to be a next step. It's always going to be okay, but it's up to you to get there. So if I have one last parting thought to give you, it is that the lesson that I learned from Emperor Claudius. Don't marry your niece. Thanks.